Alright, this little screencast is meant to go over a little bit of review from what we've learned in stoichiometry so far. So, this little equation up here just shows a few imaginary compounds, right? A, B, C, and D, and the lines in front show what would be those coefficients. Okay, so we can do a lot of different conversions, and we can solve a lot of these stoichiometry problems using this roadmap. So this most simple one we've talked about is going from moles of one thing to moles of something else. In order to do that, we're going to make a single fence, and we're going to use our mole ratio, and that just comes from the coefficients in the balanced chemical equations. Okay, we can take it one step further. Let's say we wanted to go from moles of A all the way to mass of B. So instead of stopping at moles of B, we went to mass. We're just taking it one step further and adding in molar mass, which to find molar mass, we look at the periodic table and total up the masses of each element in a compound. So that's going to be a slightly bigger fence. Now let's say we want to go from mass of one thing to mass of another thing. We're going to make an even larger fence and include molar mass of both compounds. So your fence is going to be pretty large. Let's go through and do a couple examples with this. Okay, this one says, set up a fence for a conversion from moles of A to moles of C. Now, what I like to do is I like to underline what I'm given and what I'm trying to find. So I'm going from moles of A, and I'm trying to get to moles of C. So in this one, this is going to be a mole to mole conversion. And going back, when I'm doing a mole to mole, I'm just going to use my mole ratio. Okay, it's going to be a single fence. So the first thing I write down is what I'm given, moles of A. Make my little fence. Now the rule is, whatever units I have right here for moles of A at the top, I'm going to copy down here. So I'm going to copy moles of A, and what I'm trying to find is going to go up here, and it's asking me to find moles of C. So I'm going to go moles of C. And there, the units are all set up. If I knew my coefficients, I could plug those in right here. If I knew the number I was starting with, I'd put that right here. And then when you go ahead and solve it, you're multiplying across, and you're left with units up here for your answer. So that's a mole to mole conversion, single fence. Okay, the next one, conversion from moles of B to grams of A. So for this one, we're doing a mole to gram conversion. This fence is going to be slightly larger because we've got to incorporate molar mass into it. So let's start with what we're given. I'm given moles of B. Make my little fence. Now if we go back and we see our kind of where we're starting with moles of one thing, and we're trying to get to mass of something else. And so we're going to use our mole ratio, but we're also going to use our molar mass. Okay, so moles of B up top. I'm going to copy that down to the bottom, moles of B. Now I'm trying to get to grams of A. You might think, oh, I'll just put grams of A up top right here. You can't do that because there's not a relationship between grams of A and moles of B. They're totally different compounds. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that. And instead of going to grams of A, I can go to moles of A, because there is a relationship between moles of B and moles of A. That's our mole ratio, and those are the numbers I would put in right here. Now I'm not totally done. I've got to make another fence post, and whatever units I have up top, I copy to the bottom, moles of A. Now this is trying to get to grams of A, and I'm going to put grams of A right here. Now, moles and grams of the same thing, that's molar mass. Okay. All right. Now, so this is our general setup for moles to grams. Okay, so I started with my mole ratio, and then I used molar mass. Okay, next one. Set up a fence for a conversion from grams of D to moles of C. So this one's very similar, except for I'm starting with grams. Grams to moles. All right, first one, we write down what we're given, grams of D, make my fence, and whatever units I have up top, I'm going to copy to the bottom, grams of D. Now it's trying to get to moles of C. I cannot put moles of C right here because there's not a relationship between these two. But I'm going to put moles instead of D, okay? This is going to help me get there. Now I'm going to copy moles of D down to the bottom, mole D, and this is asking me, oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, this is asking me to find moles of C. Now I'm going to put moles of C up here. Now these are two different compounds. This is going to be my mole ratio, and right here is going to be my molar mass. Okay, so if you compare these two fences, the one right here and the one we just did, they're both going to have the double fence, right? They both use mole ratio and molar mass, but they use them in different orders. All right, the last type of conversion is from grams of one thing to grams of another. This one's going to be a big one. If we go back to our roadmap, it starts from one end and goes all the way to the other. So we're going to use molar mass of both compounds. We're going to use our mole ratio, and let's go ahead and set that one up. Oops. All right, so we're going to start with grams of B. Make our little fence. And whatever I have up top, I copy to the bottom, grams of B. Now I'm trying to get to grams of C. I can't get there yet because I've got to go through moles. And I can't put moles of C because there's not a relationship there, but I can do moles of B. Anytime you're doing grams and moles, they have to be of the same compound. Okay, same compound. All right, next I'm going to copy moles of B down to the bottom, moles of B. And I'm trying to get to grams of C. Can't get there yet, but I could go to moles of C, because you can compare moles of different things. Now I'm going to copy moles of C to the bottom, and I'm trying to get to grams of C, so I'm going to go grams of C. Now if you notice, this relationship is going to be my molar mass. This one is going to be my molar mass. They're just of different compounds, and what connects them all is the mole ratio. All right. So we've gone over the 4 different basic types of stoichiometry problems. You'll see all 4 of these, and all of these are used by chemists. Hopefully that was helpful.